B'Shut Kal HaKadosh, everybody welcome. Thank you for coming. B'Ezrat Hashem Baracha Tzlacha. Yaakov ben Asher ben Yaakov. So we should have a B'Ezrat Hashem listening to his parents. וגם את נתניאל בן אנג'לה, שתחזור בתשובה שלמה, שתחזור לדעת של העם ישראל. בזכות הלימוד הזה, גם תברך את כל המסובים, וגם את כל הסולג'רס, חיילים, שתחזור לשלום לבתיכם, חיילים וחיילות, also חטופים וחטופות, the kidnappers should come back to home alive with tranquility. In our time, today, when they say don't say today, say tomorrow, so it's very important they should come back. אלף הבדלות בין המתים לחיים, לעילוי נשמת מורי אביו, אהרון בן אסתר, רוח השם תנחנו בגן עדן, הוא וכל השוכבים עמו בכלל רחמים והסליחות וכן יהי רצון ונאמר אמן. So we're learning about אהבת חסד, loving kindness. Loving kindness, which just means a person should love kindness. So we continue פתיחה לתשלומי שכר שכיר. So now we're talking about employment, which just means I'm the boss. And I have businesses, not necessarily I have to be a boss. I could be a manager. I could be somebody that is charged as the employees. So what I do in that moment, what's considered chesed? What's considered kindness? This is one of the thin topics a person, the Chafetz Chaim brings over here. And we see also many times in the businesses that people would not pay the employees on time. They will make many excuses. Some of them does not pay at all. So let's learn a little bit on that. And that's also considered kindness. We think in kindness, visiting the sick people, or escorting the lavaya, which just means a person that passed away, or speaking to another person, giving the heart of the person and an ear to another person. Over here it's talking about also doing kindness, giving to employees, give them their paycheck on time. ועוד ראיתי לחבר את ההלכות דין תשלומי שכר שכיר מפני שהוא דבר עומד ברומו של העולם. He says somebody pays his employee on time. It's one of the highest status in the heavens that considered for that person. שיש על זה כמה לווים מפרשים בתורה. You have mitzvah לא תעשה. That's already says in the Torah. ויש בני אדם מזלזלים בהם, בעוונותיהם של רבים. He says some people are not so careful what I'm going to say, he says. And they're making a sin on that. ונקל להם לאחר תשלומים בשביל איזה סיבה קלה. A person or businessman or boss, he finds an excuse. Some excuse. He does not have the money right now. The money still did not come. כגון שיתעצל ללכת ולקח את ממונו שיניח ביד אחרים. Somebody else owes him money because somebody else owes him money, and that money he's supposed to get from that people that own him, and he's supposed to be get back, and he's not getting the money back. So he says not today, tomorrow, not tomorrow, after tomorrow. כגון מנצל ללכת ולקח את ממונו שיניח ביד אחרים, או ללך לפרט את המטבע הגדולה שיש בשביל לשלם שכר בזמנו. And some people, they have a paychecks, and they have a payroll. Let's say there's a payroll every Thursday, every 2 weeks. And that 2 weeks pass by. On Thursday he does not do it, on Friday he do it. On Friday he does not do it, on Monday he's doing it. Sometimes we understand the office. The lady that is in the front desk, that's all the bookkeeping. And she sometimes, chas v'shalom, could get sick. And there's a lot of people relying on her. And she's sick, nothing you could do about it. So what do you do in this moment? So it says, ילך לפרט בפועל עני, שבשביל להשכיר הזמנו, מן הדין מחויב בכל אפילו הפועל עשיר. What if he says, my employees are not, what are you talking about, Rabbi, over here? He's poor. He's rich. He could wait another couple of weeks for the paycheck. He could stay on the side. He has money on the side. וכל שכן פועל אני כמה מחויב בעל הבית לראות לשלם בזמנו כדי שהוא כמה במה לחיות הוא אנשי ביתו. None of us know the situation, what's happening in the people's houses. We don't know. Employees are rich. The boss is rich. So he says, instead of giving him paycheck every couple of weeks, I'm going to give him in 3 weeks. It's okay. The Chazal says he's not allowed to do that, whether the employee is a rich or whether the employee is a poor. He needs to pay people on time. Must pay people on time. In the time of Arizal, there's two couples came in, they did a lot of kindness. A lot of kindness. And they said to Arizal, how come we married a long time and we don't have kids? Okay, he says there's one reasoning that why you don't have kids. Because you don't give to the chicks, on time food. And he says, because of that, you don't have kids. The animal does not have mouth to talk, and everything depends on a human. Some people were embarrassed to ask their boss, can you give me money on time, the paycheck? And sometimes the boss making excuses. It could happen in construction business. It could happen in any business. A person always finds an excuse to push away the employee to not giving the paycheck on time. And he making a sin from the Torah. ואנשי בטנו, דכתיב בקרא בפרשת תצא, כי תצא, ביומות תיתן שכרו ולא תבוא עליו שמש. In the Torah, black and white says, you give him the money on that day. So when the Torah says on that day, so it depends on the boss, the way he hires employees. That depends on that. So let's say he hires employees, and he says, I will pay you every 2 weeks. You agree? He says yes. So that's not considered he needs to pay him in that day. But we have sometimes construction people. We hire him for the day, and we tell him, come next day. I don't have right now. But it depended on that money. You don't know what's the situation he's going through. Second thing, that's another big problem. We hire babysitters. Person goes to the weddings, his needs. So the babysitter come at nighttime, let's say from 7 p.m. until 10 p.m. From 7 to 10 p.m., he does not have change in his pocket. And he says, come back tomorrow and I will give you the money. So he transgresses from the Torah that is not giving the money on time. So what he needs to do, either needs to have the money before, or he needs to go to the store. If he says he does not have enough money, or he has enough money but he does not have a change, in that moment, that person needs to make a change. How are you? Needs to make a change in order for him to pay on time. So the whole topic we're talking about over here being paying on time. If a person does not pay a person on time, he's making a sin. Zohar in Parashat Kedushim says following. לא תלין פעולת שכיר, אמי, אלא מקרא אחרה, ישמע דכתיב ביומות תיתן. He says we should not refrain ourselves to give the paycheck on time. And he says you're supposed to be given on that day. So on that day could be 2 weeks, or bi-weekly, or weekly. On that day, which is also means, but that day we hire employees, we need to give in that moment. You cannot say, listen, I was too busy, I got carrying on, I forgot. None of us forgot to eat. None of us forgot to do things what we need to do for ourselves. How can you forget about another human? He's a human. And the Zohar says that it brings this pasuk from the Torah. He says, you give the money on time, and the sun should not be passed by it. He says he's a poor, but he's not poor, Rabbi, he's not poor. Any person that works for another person in the Torah in this context, we're not talking about, in our mind, poor, which just means he's a beggar and he goes on the street. No, he's depending. It's called, people call working paycheck to paycheck, right? Maybe he has other errands. He says, listen, maybe he has things that he needs to buy for his kids, for his wife, for his family members. You don't know that. So what we're thinking in our mind, so the Zohar says following. Ki ani, he says, if he depends on you, it's like depends his soul on that person, which just means that the money, he gives the soul the power that continue working for Hashem. ולא תעליו עליו שמש, אז זרז ללא נתכנש בגינו לעלמא עד דלא ימתה זמנה נתכנשה. כמה דאמר. Beginoi le'alma. He says a person cannot go upstairs to the heavens unless he's going to pay this person. What does it mean? De'emar ba'kohelet at asher lo tichashech hashemesh. And it says until the sunset would not go down. Ulifna milah acharna deshlim nafsha miskena afilu demoto yomo leistalka ma'alma kucha berechu ashlim dinashev yahiv lechayin yitirin. If a person pays on time, Hashem will give him a long life to that person. Because measure for measure, the way he gives the people money on time, the way he worries about the people, the same thing is going to happen towards that person. Hashem is going to give him a long life. Lo ta'alin pulat sachir toch hazeh demandi natil igra de miskena akilu natil nafsha de anshe beita. He says if a person does not pay on time, it literally says that he's taking his paycheck and sometimes confiscating. He says it's like taking his soul and take the souls of his household. That's how much is important. Who dize ezair nafsha de kucha berechu azir de yama ve'azir nafsha who de alma kol deinun havalin nafka mepumek dahu yama kulho salkin kamed de kucha berechu kaima kameli vatar salka nafshe. He says anything that Hashem, if a person very careful, pay people on time, whatever he's going to request from Hashem, Hashem is going to give him his request. Very important. We continue. Anshe beita kaiman diyun lehavalin de pumed dekin alfi gazar hu barnash kama yome de kapat haman kulho mit adkram mine distalke mine velo od ele de nafshe dila lo isalka leela. He says when he wants to go to sleep, his soul does not go upstairs to the heaven. That's why people have all these charadot. They have all these anxieties, dreams, bad dreams, because the soul needs to go upstairs to the heavens. The Zohar says HaKadosh that he goes and recharges it. So it depends what he did during the day. Let's say a person spoke beautiful and everything nice. That day will be influence him in his soul at nighttime. Now what does it mean? A person spoke negative. They're going to bring whoever he spoke negative about, they're going to bring him to judgment upstairs to the heavens while he's sleeping. And they bring him upstairs. That's why when a person wakes up in the morning, he says, I'm tired. Why are people tired? Aren't you supposed to be getting recharged? How can you be tired? Because all the energy went to the judgment. So that's why a person, when he wakes up, he cannot so-called wake up, or Rabbi, I cannot do it, because the sitra achra, the negative force, is sucking the energy from him. Where does it come from? From the negativity that he does during the day. If we do positive during the day and properly positive, he's going to be so energized, he does not need to sleep to kiss his pillow until 9, 10 in the morning. Could be waking up, recharge 5 hours, and that's it, it's recharge. Okay? So the Zohar HaKadosh says, following something beautiful over here, that the nafsha de lo isalke, he says his neshama would not go upstairs. So where is going to be if he's not going upstairs? So there's the upstairs going to the heavenly court. Or being in this world, he's traveling in this world. That's why he has anxieties, he has fear, and everything like that. Somebody came to me today, and he says, Rabbi, I'm like, maybe the angels are start hitting her. He says, I live with my mother-in-law. She's waking up and she's screaming at nighttime. Well, what can you do? What can you come and fix her and everything like that? And he says, I will pay you. You know, he's going to pay me. I'm going to go fix her. I said, the first question I always ask, how long it's been going? If something is going for years, that's like impossible to fix. If it's a month or 2 months, it's still on a way that you're able to fix. So the first thing is ask why this thing's happening to the person. What are you laughing? Huh? I usually don't like to do these things in a daily basis. It's like when you do these things, it actually influences you, and you influence your neshama with all these negative things happening. You understand? So we're trying to stay away from these things, even though there's a remedy for. In the Torah, there's a remedy for everything. Don't forget that. There's a book called Chizkiah Melech. in the Masechet Barachot, it's out of the topic actually, Masechet Barachot says, he hid the book of the Sefer Ufuot, which means the healing book, which is anybody will get sick in that book, that specific book, you will go to that book, any sickness that the person has, he could be healed. And the Chazal says, I read in the commentaries, they say that when Noah entered the Teva, the ark, the Shedim also went inside, he says. Because 2 pairs and 2 pairs. And he says because of the smell in the Teva, in the ark, the angel took Noah, one of the Noah's son, they got sick, all of them inside the ark. See, that's the information. They got sick, and an angel took the one of the Noah's son, and he took him upstairs to Gan Eden, and he taught him all these remedies. And when he taught him, they got healed, and Noah and his son had this book. Okay? Some says Shlomo HaMelech, they teach Shlomo HaMelech got this book also from the angels. And they say Chizkiah HaMelech, what he did, people used to rely on this book, not relying on Hashem. He hid the book, basically buried, nobody knows. I have this book, and this book, Pidyon HaNefesh it's called, it says they found this book, and this book exists. So from that book, whatever the fear and everything that people have, or many things, getting pregnant or any other stuff, that book has many remedies. But again, somebody needs to be so pure and needs to really do proper stuff to the person's soul. So we continue over here. Okay, Ashir de elu noseh et nafsho deikav, and please don't call me to say, listen, heal me and this. I don't do this stuff. It's not part of my stuff. Is to learn and to continue doing mitzvot. דהב דרב נונה אבי דהבה, אותו שכיר יום, הסתלק מעבדה דהי והב איגרא, תול נפשך דאבקית בדי תול פקודנך, אפילו מר יהיה בידך, דענה לא בעינה לסלקה איגרא. So it says following like this, אלא קודשה ברכו דכתי בידך הפחית רוחי. So it says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu would himself would take the soul if a person gives the money on time, which just means to his employee. הנה פסוק, יביאו הלא מזהיר אפילו הוא משלם לו אך שאחר עד תגמולו ואינו משלם בזמנו. So a person pays his employees, a boss pays his employees or the manager. It doesn't make a difference, whoever is on top of it paying employees. So he became a little bit late. So if somebody becomes a little bit late, they need to tell them in advance that they're going to be late. But not late the way we're talking about late, it could be months and months. And people will wait for the paychecks. What if a person does not pay another person? He just confiscate the paycheck for some apparent reason. Or he's supposed to be given $1,000, he gave him $999. $1, he just took it off, not $1, he made a mistake. So our sage says, you're not allowed to do that. Not allowed. Du gazlan gamur, he's considered a stealer. Oh, such a harsh words, Rabbi. Stealing. He's stealing. Right. Where a person steals a penny or steals $1 million, it's the same stealer. It's the same. שכן הוא השוק שכרו, שהוא השווה את בתחילה אפילו פרוטה אחת, even 1 penny. והוא גזלן גמור והווה לא תעשוק את רעך ולא תגזול. It says you should not make your fellow Jew. We're talking about, by the way, we're talking about Gentiles also. We're supposed to give Gentiles, especially if we work with the kippah, we should not do Chilul Hashem, desecrating God's name. They say, this is the God's people. Look what they're doing, right and left. They're just cheating us. They're telling us 2 weeks. They're taking them 3 weeks. They're telling us $1,000. They're giving us $990. This is considered stealing. So people are not realizing, they're thinking that whatever they're doing, if with the Jews were allowed, but no, the Gentile and the Jews in this moment even becomes chas v'shalom chilul Hashem. We're supposed to be very careful. Deita b'Gemara baba Metzia Samech Aleph Kuf Yud Aleph. In the Baba Metzia, page 61 and 111 says following: Gam b'yedei neviim hazir Hashem yitbarach al ze meod va'amar. Hashem also commanded all the prophets, and He says, be careful, tell the Jewish people, very careful. V'arma Malachi Gimel, v'ikaravti alechem lemishpat, v'ayiti ad mimaher mekshafim u'nafim, nashbiim l'sheker. And then Malachi says following: you do the judgment. Not only judgment, you do sorceries. Not only sorceries, you go with another ladies, and you're making swearing, and you're swearing for vain, which just means he's lying. You don't pay people on time. He says, one HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the witness himself, he's the judge himself. He's the one, if a person does not pay the money on time, he's going to make a revenge with that person himself. Okay? Ga'ite b'masechet Sukkah Chavtet. Masechet Sukkah says following: Bishvil arba dvarim nichnasei ba'alei ba'atim yordim lemitimion. He says one of the 4 things that the business people lose their businesses and money. Why is that? Al kovshei sachir sachir al ashkei sachir sachir. Rashi says, Kovsheh shibadchu balo velech vashov. Rashi says following: he's supposed to get paycheck on Thursday. He says, come Friday. Comes on Friday, he says, I don't have on Friday, come on Monday. Comes on Monday, he says, come on Tuesday. Okay? Second thing, he says, we're going to pay you. At the end, he does not pay him. That's what the Rashi says. So there's 2 ways of people doing it. Say, we'll give you. The date comes in, he does not give. Second one, they just confiscate the whole money. So something we cannot do. שעוונותינו רבים יש אנשים שנקל להם לפחות שכיר וישכר לא ידעו אם בנפשם הוא. He says, unfortunately, he says, a lot of people make mistake on this and make a sin, he says. שנקל להם, they don't take these things, whatever the topic we're just talking about, they don't take seriously. בנפשם שעוברים לאו דאורייתא, they're making transgression and they make a sin from the Torah. גם מצינו בעוונות הרבים. Okay, let's see over here what it says. And also he says, we see over here, בעוונותינו רבים, he says, because all the things that people doing, שאצל אנשים שכיר דופק על הפתחים לילה ויום, אין שומעים לו. He says, sometimes the employer comes in, give me my money, and nobody cares. He continues with his life. בפרט עוסק על איזה דבר קטן, לא ייתנו לב שבדיני תורה אין חילוק בין של פרוטה. He says, what? These are $50 I just owe him, $100. Wait, what's the big deal? The Torah does not make a difference between a penny, $100, $1 million, or $50,000. It doesn't make a difference. Pay on time. Pay on time. אין חילוק, שכל 100, והרבה מהם שהם אנשים ישרים. A lot of them, it says, also could be religious. בעלי מידות טובות, they have a good characters and traits. מקיים שאר המצוות תורה כדת והלכה. All the mitzvot they do, like it's supposed to be done, put a tefillin, tzitzit, come on time and everything. מצווה זאת, תשלומי שכיר בזמנו, רפויה בידיים בעוונותינו. He says, when it comes to the employees and paying on time, they're not so careful with it. They don't think that they're transgressing the sin from the Torah. He says it doesn't take him so long to repay or pay on time. He doesn't take this as a consideration as serious. He says, why people really do these things? Why they don't pay people on time? Why, he says, he's asking a question. They're being stingy. Why is it? שהתבוננתי כל זה בא להם מצד מיעוט חיסרון ידיעה בהלכה, because they don't know the law, how to give and when to give and what time to give. If you said, מה שיצא מפיך יעשה, whatever you said and you promise, make sure you're going to do it. Make sure you're going to do it. שאלו יודעים מזה בוודאי היו מזרזים לשלמים בזמן כדי לקיים. If the people knew the law, they would have did this, no problem. Arizal, they used to say, he used to hire employees, workers, and he did not have money before the mincha time. used to go borrow money to pay the employee on time before the sun goes down, so we would not transgress from the Torah mitzvah lo taseh. Mitzvah taseh shel bayomot titen scharo. We have a positive mitzvah to give on a time. וגם שלא על להבין שיש בעניין, כמו שכל אחד מישראל מזדרז לקיים שאר המצוות תורה, תלויים בזמן. What if other mitzvot that we do on time, at least we try to do? Shofar on a Rosh Hashanah, everybody running to hear the shofar. Sukkah, everybody running to sit in the sukkah, Baruch Hashem. Lulav, kayotze, everything we try to do. What's the difference between that mitzvah giving time and time money or that mitzvah? Why you do that mitzvah so great and giving the money on time you're not doing so great? אם ראיתי לאחד מישראל שיניח מברך על שופר ולולב עד הלילה. He says, you ever seen people doing shofar and lulav until the night time? People do the first thing in the morning. ואדרבה, אחד מישראל מקדים את עצמו לקיים מצווה בוקר, וישמח זה שזכה מצוות הבורא יתברך כדין. If a person does everything properly and he wakes up in the morning and he does everything what the Torah says, he's beautiful. There's nothing better than that. That's what people do. אלו מצוות שיהיו גם מצווה עשה מדאורייתא. He says giving the employees the money on time is a positive mitzvah also from the Torah. והוסיפו תורה גם כמה לאווים בעניין. In Torah also you have a positive and a negative. You should not let the employee be hanging until tomorrow, after tomorrow. מתגבר היצר בזה. That's where the יצר הרע plays on a person's so-called influence. גלל כי נתתי ליבי, התבוננתי בעזרת השם יתברך, חונן על האדם דעת, וקבצתי את כל הפרטים. Said, let Hashem bless humans, and let him give him the knowledge of understanding what I'm saying, he says. בהלכה כדי להזרז אחד לקיים מצווה כדת והלכה. So you could be fast and quick to do everything according to the law, to give the money on time. זה החולי בעזרת צורי וגואלי. As we continue. כתוב בתורה לא תעלים פעולת שכיר איתך עד בוקר. In the Torah says we should not refrain to give the check or the money, cash, it doesn't make a difference, on time, which just means until the morning. What does it mean? ביומה תיתן שכרו ולא תבוא עליו השמש. He says, in that day you're supposed to be give, the sun's supposed to be not go down, before which is sunset. ודרשו חכמינו זיכרונם לברכה, דקרא דלא תלין מהרה בשכיר שעבד עבודת יום, קבע תורה זמן תשלום שלו כל הלילה. He says he started at night time to work, you allowed until the night. If he started during the day, he's until the day, it's not finished, you need to give him the paycheck, his money. Sometimes we have a problem. What's the problem we have? We're hiring construction people, right? And we're supposed to be giving money. And we say, we're not going to give you money because you're not going to come back tomorrow to me. What are you doing this moment? That means we are cheating them and we're lying to them. Or they are cheating and they're lying. So what are you supposed to be doing this moment? So you give to the construction guy comes in, plumber. He comes in, you give him the half of the money, everything's supposed to be done. We're not talking about he's working by day. He's working in a time, he has a frame time to finish it. So that's why it needs to be in a contract. And a contract needs to be done. This is what's going to happen. You're not going to finish on time. You're going to get deduct $200-300. But you cannot make on your own decision whether you want to deduct the money from the people. It has to be done by contracts. If it's not by contracts, it's on your own, it's a big problem. He didn't do his job. You didn't do your part of your job, which is having a contract. What do you do in this moment? How are you going to pay him? He didn't finish the job. You're not going to pay. Nobody's going to pay if a person does not finish the job. The other construction people come in and they say, you owe me more. The guy did a wrong job. In the construction business, each construction, I haven't seen it personally, each construction guy says this guy did wrong, the other guy comes in, he says he did wrong. That's like in a I guess this in a book written. Okay, nobody does right. Okay, from there you also learn a lot of things. משום תלין, קרא לא תבוא עליו שמש, מה יראה בפועל שעבד עבודה בלילה, זמן תשלומים שלו כל היום עד ביאת השמש. He says, if he started working at nighttime until the morning, until the nighttime, you'll have to give him the money. We talk about only employees that we made a contract with him that they're going to work only day by day. That's how he's getting paid. But if a people getting paid week or bi-weekly or monthly, that month going to come in, make sure, even if he's going to go to vacation, the boss is going to go to vacation, make sure he's going to tell to his maskira, secretary, that make sure she's going to take care of it. You cannot be in a vacation enjoying yourself while your employees are suffering. They're not suffering, they're rich themselves. No. The Torah says you're going to make a mitzvah, say positive mitzvah. You're on vacation, make sure your secretary knows. Make sure your partners know. Don't leave it alone. And the way we treat our employees, that's the way the business also going to run. We cannot also, some of us, unfortunately, we're not educated in a business. We never took a business class like a barbarians. We just treat everybody like a Hannibals. You understand? We cannot treat employees like they are our slaves. We have to treat our employees, they're like our employees, which is humans. Sometimes we do things, I've seen it this many times. They treat him like they're not even lightly like an animal. Dog, you get treated better than humans. So when a person does this, why people do this? I'm going to tell you why. Because they never saw money in their life. They never had a power. They were probably abused in the schools. Because they got abused, now they're trying to, like you all the time asking police, why did you become police? Oh, this Nisim, he was abusing me when I was a child. Now I'm going to become, now that's what I'm going to do. A person has to work on his midot, make sure we treat everybody, whether Gentiles or Jews, we have to make sure we treat everybody equally. Hashem gave you something, you humans, make sure you're going to treat him beautiful and speak also nice. We also, our conversation is forget about it. So a person has to also treat his employees properly, speaking also. So if a person does not give the paycheck or money or cash to his employee on time, he will desecrate the lo ta'aseh from the Torah. A person has to make sure before the sunset, he's going to give him the money. After the sunset, which is already considered twilight zone. Today is a twilight zone, for example, winter time is 4:32. After 4:32, 13 and a half minutes, is considered according to the Torah. This is considered twilight. It's not day, it's not night. Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi machloket. Halachak Rabbi Yossi is considered night, day. Make sure we don't get to ourselves in a safek. Safek, which just means in a doubt. The way we want us to be treated as the employees when we were employees, or many things that will happen in our life, make sure we treat people not the same way. Sometimes we say, oh, my boss was not good, I'm going to treat my employees the same way. Well, he does not know any better. So I recommended each boss, he should take a classes how to properly treat people and properly give them paychecks on time. Okay? Sometimes people also make the employees, they have to be as a partners as the employees. Sometimes people stingy. In a business, what they do, the employee wants to leave, right? He treat him, he gave him minimum check, which is, his work deserved 200K, he gave him 50K. Somebody else now comes in and he says, let's be a partners, me and you. Is this person allowed to go to another person? Of course, he has all the choice. Then what happens with the boss? The boss now gives him the raise. Why didn't you do this all these years? Person has to be smart. I've seen many times in the real estate also, there used to be cold callers. Cold callers, which just means they used to get deals for the houses. For each deal they used to get 5,000, 10,000, 12,000, whatever it is. And this one guy that I know a couple, not one guy, basically they told him we're going to be partners 50-50 and everything, no more 5,000, 10,000 pennies, pocket change. We like to treat people like this, And you know what they told me? He says, I will buy him one BMW M5, he's going to be good. That's what he likes. You know, at the end, he left him and he opened up his own business. I said, this is your M5, you see? You want to treat people, you want to be enslave people, that's what's going to happen. They're going to leave you and they're going to open up their own businesses. And they're riding right now Bentleys, jets, private jets, and everything, right? You wanna make sure that people also gonna love you and you could be partners with them. Why should it go somewhere else? There's a cake, and for everybody, there's a piece of cake. It's okay to share, but our problem, we don't want to share. Why? Because we're greedy. We're like greediness. That's the problem. You don't want to be. You want to be greedy. Eventually, the employee's going to leave you. You're going to only have people that you're always going to be stressed with them. So make sure. I'm giving you also tools how to become proper business people. You see somebody have a big potential, make him a partner. If he's bringing so for example, 1 million, with his potential, he'll bring 2. So what? You're going to split, and you're going to make more. And you're going to eat, and you're going to grow. No, I'm eating, I'm going to eat the whole thing, I'm just going to give him the crumbs. That's our rotten mind. Again, I've seen this many times. People just want to use people for crumbs. Eventually they're going to leave, whoever have the big potentials. And I see this many times actually in businesses. People have tension to give crumbs to other people. And we, especially Bukharis, we realize quick things very quickly and fast. You know, we already become accounting, how much money he makes. We don't think about overheads and everything. We have that part also. But a person has to be smart. יום לאחר שקיעה הוא בין השמשות, ואם לא פרה קודם שקיעה כל הפנים, יראה לפרוע קודם צאת הכוכבים. דלאו ההיא בוודאי יעבור לא תעשה. So if a person did not do in a twilight zone, make sure before the night comes in, you give the money to the employees. במה דבורים בפועל שהיה שכיר כל הלילה? דהיינו עד עמוד השחר. What if a person comes in at nighttime, employee, and he works until the dawn, which is it's called graveyard. He works overnight. האם היה שכיר בלילה עד איזה שעות וקילה פעולת קודם עמוד שחר? זמן תשלום שהוא רק עד עמוד השחר. שכיר יום. So he says what if he finished the job before? If a person finished the job before, if everything looks good, give him the money and that's it. Let him leave. Okay? וכן בשכר יום לא היה שכור אצלו כל היום רק 10 שעות וקילה פעולתו קודם ביאת השמש. זמן תשלום שלו הוא רק ביאת השמש. בסוף סעיף זה, בזמננו מנהגים פועלים שובתים מלאכתם בעת שקיעת חמה. He says in his times, the employees used to already, like in a construction business, 4 o'clock they're already going home. 5 o'clock you're pushing it, 6 o'clock you need to give them overtime. It depends again. It has to be everything done. It depends who does this job. לפי זה בזמננו הם פועלים שבותם במלאכה בעת שקיעה חמה. ימהר לפלוא קודם צאת הכוכבים דן זה בכלל שכר שעות היום. So he says an employee, finish the job. Don't wait until the night time. He has 2 hours wait. He's going to look at you. You're going to say, oh, you have another 2 hours. Just sit here anyways. Just sit with me, okay? And just let him, I'm not going to let him free home. Why not? He finished the job. Be a little bit human, and that's it. There's nothing wrong of doing to somebody kindness if already job done. There's nothing wrong with it. So that's what we're not realizing when we're being as a boss. We continue, and I'm telling you from the perspective, I used to be myself as an employee. There's a bagel store, maybe 25 years ago I used to work. Now the boss is working for me and the whole store is working for me. See? What do you call that in English? Karma? No, I'm just joking. I used to work in a bagel store and I used to work in a pool hall in the 71st. And afterwards, I recognized the guy, the Bukharian guy, he used to be a manager. Treated very well. That's where I used to work. And I also worked a couple days in a bagel store. And the bagel store did not treat me. He used to bring us to the basement. We used to watch the pots. Okay, not over here, Mr. Matatov selling APs over here. So we used to watch pots. That's what we do for a living. You understand? Shoveling snow. So it says over here, we continue, ואם עשה פועל מלאכה עד צאת הכוכבים, השם מחויב לבזבז מכל מקום, שוב יש לו בעל הבית, זמן תשלום כל הלילה. ערב שבת מנהגים לפסוק מלאכה מיד זמן קודם. What about ערב שבת, on Friday? If on Friday time comes in, if he needs to pay, he needs to pay a little bit so he could go make a shopping for his family. Maybe he needs the money for his for the family. The reason I'm going to tell you why, we don't pay attention because we don't care. A person only does not pay attention, he does not care. Like the other day, Yuda just give this out loud, right? He sees a parking spot, right? He says, the rabbi is going to come in. He says, I cannot close my eyes. Just go to my house, go to my kids, and that's it. He says, I'm waiting for you. Right here, there's a parking. I'm going to be there 10, 15 minutes anyways. He says, I cannot able to close. This is called careness. But you have people careless, which is means, so what? Rabbi will find it, somebody else will find it. I have my own things to do. Pay attention. That's what we're missing over here. In the United States of America, we're forgetting what means paying attention to others and care for others. Yeah, Rabbi will care for you, but I have to go home. It's not about only me. It's talking about each individual Jew as a status. We have to care for each other. We have to make this inside of us to develop. And that's the development we're missing over here. We're busy. I'm busy. Everybody else over here, I'm pretty sure, busy. Each one of you call, you have flowers of problems. You just need to open them beautifully. Right? So it says over here, יש אומרים אפילו פחות משווה פרוטה, ואר מאחר זמנו, ריטווה, העולם נכשלים בזה בעוונותו רבים. It says, what if a couple dollars you need to give to the employee? It's not a big deal for you. It says even 1 penny for each employee. I'm exaggerating, right? Each employee needs to get paid on time. Okay? Let's not make a bilbul over here. Let's not make a difference over here between Gentiles and the Jews. We're talking about Gentiles and Jews. We're not talking about only Jews, okay, we're going to treat, but the Gentiles, no. Equally. Equally, we have to treat people as a people. But we have this rotten minds, right? We take everybody in the same status and we say, no, the Torah does not teach us. Baruch Hashem, Torah is the only book, right? It's criticized its own leaders. You take the Quran, Muhammad is everything beautiful and everything. You say Jesse Penny, everything is good. He just sacrifices a God's son and each one of us is a God's son. That's what it says in the Torah. The Torah says when Moshe Rabbeinu hits the rock, it says he hits the rock, he made a mistake. Avraham Avinu says when Hashem told him Lech Lecha, he says what I would have a Bama Yerashena, what I'm going to have a Yerusha, which just means inherit. He says your kids was going to be 420 years, 410 years in the exile in Egypt. In exile, this one says Egypt. Where it says it's only our Torah. Noah says he was a tzaddik in his generation, the next generation of Abraham, he would have not. There's no book like this. That means the Torah is a met. Torah is in a meduyaket, emet ve'emito. Where the person wants to believe, where the person does not want to believe. So that's why when we're talking about Gentiles and the Jews, we have to treat. We have to treat as a human. Kodem kol tzarich liot ben adam, human. But we say, Rabbi, yeah, I have a good heart. That's not what the Torah says. The Torah says, Yetzer lev adam ra minu rav. He's born already with a bad heart. So it's contradicting whatever the Torah says. But Rabbi, I'm a good person. Mipetech hatat rovetz, the Pasuk says in the Bereshit 4:7, there's a Yetzer hara in the doorstep when he's born. So what are you talking about? When a person is saying something, I don't believe him because he's everything lip service and he does not work. In order for us to be good, we need to work in ourselves to be good. If we're not working, okay, I'm good, yes, I'm doing kind. Who knows how you are? Because the humans, the Torah came to the bottom line of the human mind, what are we thinking and how we're thinking and what we're capable to do and what capable not to do. As we continue, שכיר שבת דהיין שבוע אחד, שכיר חודש, שכיר שנה, שכיר שבוע. כלי פעולתו ביום, זמן תשלומים שלו, הוא כל אותו יום עד ביאת השמש. Whether a person getting paid every day, or every week, or bi-weekly, or monthly, or yearly, whatever he's getting paid, make sure he's going to get paid on time. Make sure we're going to worry the way we worry about ourselves. Make sure we worry about giving people employee, giving the money on time. And I see many times, also happens in the construction business. People, the construction comes in, says, give me money. Says, tomorrow. He knows he does not have tomorrow. He says, another tomorrow. He over, which is if he has the time to pay and did not pay, it's a big problem for him. He does over, which just means he does the transgressional sin by the Torah. So a person has to be very careful before we hire, before we do anything. Don't make excuses. Things happen. I'm sorry. Things happen. There's all the time things happening. If a person needing money and things happening, would you like to get the same answers? Never in our lives. So why would we want others people to do? Whatever we want to do to others, same thing would happen to us. So make sure we treat the same thing. זמן תשלומים שהוא עמוד השחר. כל הדינים הללו נוהגים בין אדם בין שכיר בהמה וכלים. So until now we thought we're going to treat people properly. He says whether you're going to treat people properly, whether you're going to treat animals properly. So if somebody, in the time of the Gemara, if somebody would have to rent the animal, he needs to make sure he treat it and return back. Same thing renting the vessels. Right now we don't have in the United States. At least you guys don't have, but the catering halls do have the renting the vessels. Sometimes we need to rent the plates. So make sure the same thing, returning on time. תכתוב לא תליד פעולת שכיר, איתך פעולתו איתך, ועל שכיר קרקעות יש דעות בין הפוסקים. What about a person does sadeh, which just means a fields, he rents it. להחמיר סוגיות דגמרא שלנו באמת איתה בהדיה בתורת כהנים, הריבוי ברבה אפילו שכר קרקעות, אחר מצאתי שכר כתוב בשער המשפט. He says, even if we take in the fields and we renting it from other people, we also have to be returned on time. כן שיש להיזהר בשכר בתים. Oh, this is a big punchline. Paying rent on time. We must pay rent on time. So that also becomes a problem. So a person says, I'm a tzaddik, I'm like Rav Kanievsky, I'm going to learn all day, and his rent accumulates, he haven't paid for 3.5 years. He's not considered tzaddik, he's considered stealing. How can you say such a thing, Rabbi? He's a Talmid Chacham. He's a Talmid Chacham on somebody else's account. You cannot be Talmid Chacham on somebody else's account with people suffering. He needs to go to work, Rabbi John. He needs to sell like you a piece until he's going to get a prosper, whether he needs to pay. Nobody told you to steal from others in order for you to build your own empire, unless people need to support him. If people does not support him, he needs to do like Rabbi Ishmael. He needs to work half a day learning. He can't do it. He needs to go to work. It's part of the life. Unless he's a tzaddik, Gedol Ador, everybody's going to bring him, chip in. You dollar here, you dollar here. If he has such a emunah v'bitachon, but not emunah v'bitachon, which just means believe in trust that he owns half of the world already. Make sure you take care of it. Okay? A lot of people, obviously, if they would learn this halachot, they would not do what they do. So if a landlord right now is suffering from him, no, the landlord owns 100 buildings, yeah, but you need to pay him. You're stealing from him. Unless he's giving you 3 years to pay something else with the contract, but the rest of the stuff, on somebody else's account, you cannot learn and to say you're tzaddik. But also people have to support. If they see he's a potential to be a big Talmid Chacham and everything, they need to support him. But it depends again on the people. I'm not telling you each one of could do such a thing, but he's considered stealing from others because he's sitting and learning, and while the rent is accumulating, he's not paying his rent. And that happened. I'm just gonna give you general, so you would not have a hint. There was a school, so-called school, and the Hasidim owned the building, and another religious people took the building and they rented. Since COVID, they didn't pay the rent, and they say, we're gonna buy, we're not gonna buy, we're gonna buy. We're not. They collected the money already, around 7 mil, to buy the building. Eventually the building dropped to 4 mil. So they could be your friends, you know. They go with you, you say he's my rabbi and everything. And then when they went to vacation in this August, the school, the religious school, and the Hasidim just came in and put a lock, and that's it. They didn't pay him rent for 3.5 or 4 years. Now they're going back to the court. You understand? So, yes, unfortunately, it happens. And some of you call me, they tell me, oh, he's my rabbi. When I tell them the story, they say, listen, it didn't work out, it's okay. So that's what we're working with people sometimes, you understand? There could be these type of thieves, just with the beers, and that's it. Not everybody, not making. Specific cases, yes, but not everybody. We should not make across, human mind tend to make this across the board, everybody. No, you have it. What, Rabbi, they don't know what you know? They know. They're perfectly. But they don't want to give. That's the difference. כל זה שיש יזרר בשכת בתים, אוקיי? גם בקטן שכרו איזה פול שייך בו, כל הדינים הנעל. Another beautiful law. Until now, we learn something new. What if there's a child, 10 years old, 11, 12, before bar mitzvah? You told him, build this bed, or build this shelf, or go to school for 1 month, I'm going to give you so and so money. The child builds and everything, you say, no, you're a child, you don't need money, right here, a couple of dollars. He says, same thing you have to give to the child, the way you promised the child. 8 years old, 9 years old, 7 years old, 5 years old. You promise him, you make sure you pay him on time. You said, build a shelf, 10 years old. Boy, build a shelf. 100 give you, I'm giving you $100. No, right here, what? Just go buy yourself a lollipop. Or like in our dear Nisim, when you used to live in Harlem, you used to get a quarter juices. You don't know what this means, Matatov. It's quarter juices. Right. You weren't even born, Mr. Matatov. So when we give children, we promise them, we hire them. Oh, what do you call that in English, that you hire children? Child labor. Child's labor, like in India, you know? All your clothing coming from child's labor, which is 5 years old, they're just sitting on the floor and making all your clothing, and you're walking around here with the perfume. This is called child labor. No, we're not talking about child labor as making them work from day to night. A family asks, or members is asked, make sure that we're going to give them everything on time. And the money that we promise, make sure we give on time, even for children. Over here, the Chafetz Chaim says, Im bakatan scharo le'eze pula shayach bo kol adinim. He says, whatever the child, you cannot say to the child, oh, he's a child, he does not understand. Children understand perfectly fine. If they're already in 5, 6, 7 years old, 8 years old, 9, they understand more than most of us what the money is and what they're supposed to be doing with the money. So make sure we treat the children. If we told them something to do and they did it for us, Make sure that we're going to give him on time. We cannot push him away. If he does it, he transgresses from the Torah, he's making a sin. So, we have to be careful with the little kids also. Little kids, I'm not talking about somebody just crawling. Obviously, we're not talking about that. Somebody have understanding and knows already what to do and how to do it. Okay? Make sure we also treat the children the same way. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for coming. May Hashem give us baracha, tzlacha, sason v'simcha. Should stop all the wars by Ezrat Hashem this month. Should prosperity to Am Yisrael. Parnasa, Briyut, Nachat. V'chen yeratzon v'nomar. Amen.